Hello survivors. In today's video we are playing the Death Knight. We did have a YouTube post in the community section. You know, I do post from there time to time, so do make sure you're always checking there. We had a decision: are we playing the Death Knight or are we playing the Assassin today? And unfortunately the Death Knight did win at the time of posting this, so here we are. Now before we get into this, I do just want to explain something to you guys. The Death Knight's new weapon, the Winter Sorrow, does work off slow. His new secondary skill works off of slow stacking. Now, in our last video, we did mention upper limits or hard capped and soft caps of skills. So I'm going to talk about that quickly before we get into the rest of the video. Over here, you can see we have Miaz's or Tangmith's cheat sheet for the soft cap and hard caps on specific debuffs, specifically fragility, disoriented, exposed, and paralysis. Now the soft cap says that it's 200% additional like fragility damage, so that is sitting at 67 stacks. To hit 200% disoriented, you need to have 200 stacks, and so on and so forth. Exposed is 80 stacks, and paralysis is 250 stacks. Now what that means is as soon as you hit the soft cap, trying to get more percentage from that becomes reduced. Now normally fragility gives you 3% per stack, but you can see as soon as you've hit the soft cap, the next 11 stacks don't give you 33%, they only give you 10%. So there's a huge decrease or diminishing returns on the effective percentage per stack as you exceed the soft cap limit. And then to hit the hard cap limit, you actually have to have 1.8 E308 stacks. So, you know, good luck to that. At 900 stacks, you're only sitting at 290% instead of 2,700% or plus more. I just did quick math with the 900. So same works with absolutely everything. Disoriented, you need to have 900 stacks of it to get to 270%. 360 stacks on exposed to reach that, and so on and so forth. Just wanted to show you this because it is going to be important with regards to slow as well. There isn't slow over here, and that is because slow is actually hard capped at 60% from the very beginning, so you can't go over 60% slow anyway. So how does that work? Slow, the actual reduced movement speed is capped at 60%, but the amount of stacks of slow that you can apply are infinite, which is fantastic because we need that infinite amount, not the actual slow amount, for skills like Glacial Affinity, Ice Vortex, and Frozen Warhammer. Anyway, let's get into the runes, and here's Ascendancy. As soon as we get into the game, we are running Multicast Mastery, Skill Inclination Ice, Misfortune's Embrace, Elemental Flow, and Versatile Strength. Now for Versatile Strength, we'll get into how it works while we're actually in the run. Misfortune's Embrace is all your skills have a 20% chance of applying a powerful random negative effect. The negative effect's damage is based off the damage of the skill that deals the hit that applies that negative effect. So the higher your skill's damage, the more powerful that negative effect is going to be damage-wise. Elemental Flow, it works off of damage over time skills, not skills that deal damage after a set amount of time. What it does is it deals damage 50% more often, so the duration's not affected, but it causes them to deal total increased damage over their duration. So what that means essentially is, or how I read this, is that instead of, let's say, Contagion doing 1,200 damage over 15 seconds, what it is going to do is then take the base damage, add 50% to it, and deal that damage over the duration instead. So if, let's say, you get the base damage, or you get the damage number over here to say 3,000 damage over 15 seconds, that would mean that with the rune you're doing 4,500 damage over 15 seconds instead. Yeah, so that's how I read it. I could be completely wrong. It could actually mean that you deal 1,200 damage you know, you deal 1200 damage and then 800 damage or 600 damage again throughout the duration. I'm not 100% sure, but how I read it is that it deals 1800 damage instead of 1200 damage over the seconds or the duration of time. You can let me know down in the comment section what you believe that one works as. But let's get straight into the run and the ascension. We're going to turn on the graphics just so you get to see what the frost strike looks like. It also lets us see what glacial affinity looks like when we get it as well. Hopefully we get it very, very soon, because it does have a visual indicator as well. And now you can see all of these purple things lying on the floor. They are the souls of the enemy. As you pick them up, it fills up this bar at the bottom. And when that bar is full, or as soon as you get to the different stages, so you can see like a kink in the bar over there, what happens is when the bar fills up, you are able to go to this portal here in the middle of the stage, and you are able to summon your Ebon Knights, who will then fight for you. The Ebon Knights are really nice because they scale off of your character attribute damage. So your things like everything over here, they scale off of, except for obviously dash, because they can't dash, and XP because they can't pick up XP, but everything else they work off of, which is fantastic. We did luckily get glacial affinity right off the bat, so you can see that ice that covers or goes around our character, and that's what that skill looks like. And if you have, you know, the special effects up, you can at least see when you have the effect up and running. Otherwise you have to keep looking at the hotbar to see if it is green. Luckily the glacial affinity does get a nice duration upgrade as well, so we can get its duration to be much higher, actually to be the same as its cooldown reduction. But in this case you do actually want both duration and cooldown recovery, but of course cooldown recovery is going to be the best thing, especially when you do go into those overlord cycles with this. Definitely a good ability for overlord cycle runs as well, because it is going to give you a huge amount of damage increase there as well. But let's carry on. We do have that. We are doing slow stacking today, or slow, yeah, definitely a slow stacking build. So we are going to grab as many touch of ice as possible as well, because we want as many stacks of slow as possible. We're looking for the stacks, not for the effect of the stacks on the enemies. And we do get ourselves a nice juicy pylon over here, so we're going to go and just destroy that as well. And we will look at how these work for our skills. Now we could actually go for glacier, just because we do want to get, you know, quite a lot of slow stacks there. But if you look at, you know, cooldowns, it's probably a lot better to go for skills that aren't only slow. But we're going for slow only thing. Like if you had a look at this, this has a 1.2 second cooldown. It would be a lot better. It's going to hit a lot more enemies than Blizzard or Glacier. But we're going to go with Glacier. We're going to replace it anyway, so that's why we're going with it. We are looking for a surprise gift, which is really, really nice. And then we're looking for one or two other ones. Summon helper elves, unfortunately not. We are actually looking for the avalanche, and then the ice vortex as well. So we have the ice stacking damage from ice vortex as well. So we're nearly at max stacks. We're going to summon all three of them at the exact same time. The further you go into the runs, the more of these souls you are going to be getting, because obviously you're going to be fighting more and more enemies, and therefore you're going to be killing more and more enemies. So therefore, you know, it correlates. You're going to get more enemies. Anyway, that's just how that works. We're going to grab one stack of Doom over there. Frostbolt is fantastic in this game. A really, 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 really strong ice skill. Really well worth grabbing. We're going to grab another ice over there. We can grab the movement speed as well to help us. And Frostbolt just deals way too much damage for how much investment you can put into that skill. So as you can see, as we stepped inside the portal, what it did is it created a whole bunch of, or just 3 of these Ebon Knights. They kind of look like the doggos do, just miniature death knights, which is really, really cool. I don't know where they went. We're going to find them. There they are. So you can see that they kind of look like miniature death knights, which is really, really funny. And they pull aggro for you, which is really nice. and they deal quite a decent amount of damage because they work off your character sheet. So if you get your glacial affinity up to a huge amount of damage and you then pop it, the Ebonauts are also going to get that damage increase as well. So that is something else to keep in mind as well. You can see they're one-shotting all the normal mobs, which is really, really cool because it does keep you safe while you are in your run. Now, if I have 2 stacks and I go and run on there, you can see it took a stack away. I didn't actually have 2 stacks, it would seem, but it took a stack away and it refreshed the duration of one of the Ebonauts, and there it did the second one. Now, what happens is that it isn't based on where the Ebonauts are. It is actually based off of their current duration. So it will always give the duration extension to the one with the least amount of duration left over. So if, let's say, your third Ebonaut has the lowest duration, it will give the duration increase to that one over all the other ones. Alright, we are looking for Ars Nova. It doesn't really matter though, because we Ars Vortex, no, not Ars Nova, honestly, what's wrong with me? We do get quite a lot of big increases there to our Ars Frostbolt as well, which is fantastic. We can grab a little bit of crit over there, some more expansive, because that's going to help with our Frost Strike, which is the new one, and then also with things like Blizzard and the other Ars skills as well. Avalanche and things like that. Unfortunately, once the bosses spawn, we can't really focus on the Ebonauts and their duration, so we do have to worry about that once we've killed all the bosses. I do think Ars Vortex would be, what would be really good here is using Ars Mastery and then grabbing the Frozen Warhammer. I feel like Elementalist should have Ars Vortex and the Chaos Knight should have the Frozen Warhammer. It just makes so much more sense. Why would the Elementalist have the Frozen Warhammer and not Ars Vortex, which is more of a spell than Frozen Warhammer? But anyway, you know, that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. I do know a lot of people have mentioned it before as well, and the more I think about it, the more sense it actually makes. You know, how come the Elementalist has the melee skill in his skills? Anyway, we are managing to keep up with the Ars and keeping the Ars Vortex going over there. Damage increases to that. That's fantastic, because that's also going to help this deal more damage. You can see it's gone up by 200% already, which is huge. There is the Ars Vortex. We can replace Blizzard now. We will work on more area of effect. Obviously, Blizzard is going to deal a lot more damage if we have more cost. I mean, Ars Vortex, not Blizzard. Ars Vortex is going to deal a lot more damage if we have a lot more area of effect, as well as a lot more cast frequency. So, you know, the longer you go into the Overlord cycles and things like that, your Ars Vortex will catch up in damage, and obviously then hopefully overtake some of the other skills in damage. But you'll see now, because it's only going to be, you know, up and available for about another 2 minutes or so, you'll see its damage isn't going to be that fantastic compared to some of the other skills that have been up for a really long time. Even the Ebonauts are going to end up doing more damage than what our Ars Vortex has done, or hopefully that's the case, you know, because that's what I want to happen anyway. We want the Ebonauts to do a lot of damage, and I guess they will do quite a lot because of the Glacial Affinity buff as well. So really, really cool over there. We can increase area of effect. Fantastic. Grab the that over there. Grab some more multicast. Some cast frequency over there. We're on 0.4 second cast frequency on the Frostbolt. Really, really fantastic skill, guys. Don't sleep on Ars Bolt. It is a really, really, really strong skill. A really low cooldown on the skill as well, and it just makes it that much stronger. You'll see by the damage numbers at the end, and it's not even going to have that many hits on it. So it doesn't hit a lot, but it hits really hard as well. Well, it does actually hit a lot, but if you had to compare it to the amount of hits that, like, let's say Blizzard would do, or Ars Vortex or Avalanche and things like that, Frostbolt deals a lot more damage. That's also kind of, oh, oops, we kind of had a little instance over there with the Void Presence. I'm not sure what happened to my brain there, but it wasn't working. It didn't want to run away from it as it was charging that up. And therefore, we kind of took a nice hit to our health. So we lost a full life there. That is very, very sad. And we actually not picking up as many of these orbs as we think we would. So some of the Ebonites are actually dying, which is really sad to see. It looks like they actually either have a timer, or I picked it up at a radius that I didn't think I would, and therefore it disappeared, and I thought it might have been picked up. I'm not sure if they do disappear or not, but we are now done with those boss fights. That's fantastic. Let's see what we can do. We can actually skip that because I have the skills that I want. You can see we're actually dealing 4,117 damage from Frostbolt. Just in case you were wondering, I do actually think that is because, yeah, we do have this active. We have 612% increased damage modifier, and we've got 300% damage modifier on the actual skill. So we've got like 1,000% increased damage on Frostbolt. That's why it's just hitting really, really, really hard, which is really, really funny, especially if we land up getting more crit. So when the skill crits, it's going to deal even more damage. I mean, you can see this is doing 3,142 damage as well, which is really, really good. And the duration is a lot more now. It's 10 seconds instead of 8 seconds, and it's also on a much lower cooldown as well, which is fantastic. Refresh the duration of one of the Ebonites, and that's going to put us in a good spot. And we've only got one more boss fight to go. This has been a really slow one. We haven't really cornered in this one, which doesn't really matter too much. You'll see that it's still relatively fast enough to get into the Overlord cycles, and definitely fast enough to deal all the damage that you need to. You can see the boss's life just go straight down. We've got to be careful of this prophetess. Watch her laugh. There you go, just flying down. Fantastic. And you can see the final boss, the Eternal Guardian. As we smack him, his life just disappears like that. So there you go, 810% at the very end. Really, really, really strong. Really, really good for the Chaos Knight. And just before we go, one of the runes that are on honorable mention for the Death Knight is actually the War Tank. War Tank increases your block percentage, increased by 50%, but it gives you a negative or a -1 dash. So obviously the Death Knight gets the bonus dash. I mean the bonus, and he's not affected by that negative dash because he doesn't have dashes to start off with. But there you go. We got Frost Strike dealing 12.1 million, Ebonites with 11.3 million, Frostbolt with 10 million over there. And you can see that Blizzard didn't really do much damage. Ice Vortex on a 6.9 million damage, dealing the least amount. However, it wasn't active as long as the others were. So if we had a bit more time, I think Ice Vortex would have done a lot more damage. Before we disappear, I forgot to mention Versatile Strength. Now, what we do with Versatile Strength is it says increase your damage by 3% for each different type of power-up you have to a maximum of 90%. What they mean by that is every time I pick up a single one of these power-ups, so as you can see, like here, lethality and lethality, they're both the same. Only one of these count as the increase to the damage. So even though I have two of them, only one of them count as it. They have to be unique power-ups. They can't be different rarities. So as long as I have one damage increase, it doesn't count. But if I have an attack speed or a cast frequency one and a damage one, then that's 6% increased damage. Area of effect for bomb, the legendary ones work, although as long as I have an area of effect for magical, it won't really work, but because you don't really get that, it works. Damage increase for frontal, and so on and so forth. I do believe things like, I do wonder, and I'll have to double check that, but I think getting things actually doesn't show them, so never mind that. But yeah, that's how it works. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. And always remember, keep safe, survivors. Until next time, cheers.